I'm Mr. V, your host for today. Today we're going to look at something very easy, very simple to do. It's something you may already be doing, but it's just a basic oil change on my 2004 B5.5 Passat. Now this is a Passat wagon. It has the 1.8 turbo engine in it, and it also has an automatic transmission. So if you have any vehicle with a 1.8 turbo engine in it, the oil change should be pretty much about the same as the oil change on this engine here. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an extra layer of protection to this car for the lifetime of the vehicle. I'm going to do it very easily. I'm going to do it very cheaply. So stick around to find out what I do to make this engine more reliable and the oil cleaner with every oil change. These are the things that you're going to need to change the oil in this car here. So I have a 5-liter bottle of Liqui Moly 5W40 motor oil. This is a full synthetic motor oil. This is a premium motor oil. I order this off of Amazon. It's not found in any store that services my area, so I have to order this. I'm also going to need the proper oil filter. Now this oil filter right here I got from Volkswagen. So this is the higher capacity oil filter. They make smaller oil filters, but this engine already has some capacity issues, so it's a little over 4 quarts to fill this engine up, and any extra oil capacity we have is going to help the turbo. It's going to not have any coking issues with the oil. So when the 1.8 turbo in the Passat first came out, and also in the Audi A4, I was a technician at Volkswagen, and they had a lot of problems with the engines going bad because of lack of lubrication. So we always want to put this larger style oil filter on here and use a good quality synthetic oil. You know, if you have Castrol, Syntec, or something like that, anything that's Volkswagen approved for these cars, that's fine. Liqui Moly is just my preference. It is a lot more expensive than your normal oils, but again, I run it in just about everything that I have. And we also have our bonus item here. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the video, but I want y'all to think, what can we add to this vehicle for under $10 that can give, it's reusable, and it gives the engine a lifetime of performance. It does not wear out, it's reusable, it has a replaceable piece on it, and it is, I got it off of Amazon, and I'm pretty excited about it. I put one on my other car, and I'm putting one on this car, and so stay tuned to that. Okay, I have the hood popped, and now I have to get this water bottle out of the way, this recovery tank, because before I lift the car up to do the oil drain, I'm going to go ahead and take off the oil filter. So the oil filter sits on the side of this engine, and it's almost impossible to get from the bottom. So step one is going to be Phillips head screwdriver, and there should be 3 screws. I'm missing one right here. I don't know where it went. And so I'm going to take this off right here. Be careful if this is hot. I normally do these oil changes, I let it cool down a little bit. And again, you should have another screw right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this over, but I can't pull it too far because I have this sensor underneath here. So I'm going to unplug this sensor, and then I'm just going to lay this over, like so. And just get it hung up right there and out of the way. And down there is your oil filter. So I'm going to show you where the oil filter is and tell you the best way to take it off. See if I can move this camera here. It's hard to see, but your oil filter is going to be right in this hole, right about mid-screen, and you'll see it. The camera's not going to be able to show it up. So you're going to take this off from the top. The problem with that is you're automatically going to lose about a half a quart of oil coming out of the oil filter. So I have put a drain pan underneath here, right underneath the oil filter, to catch that oil, make sure it doesn't contaminate anything or stain up your driveway or anything like that. So I have these oil filter pliers here, These oil filter pliers are some of my favorite ones. Channel locks, you can probably look them up and get them on any tool provider. But let me reposition this a little bit right here. And you're just going to turn counterclockwise on the filter. It shouldn't be that tight. Some of these are. Some of the people that put these on. Let me readjust this here. Good thing about these is these can pretty much grab any filter out there. And you're just going to crank down on it. Give it a couple of turns here. It should come to where you can get the rest of it by hand. And again, it's going to be leaking oil as soon as it breaks that seal. So you may want to get you a rag. Twist it off by hand. I just grab it by the hole and pull it out like so. Okay, so got the old filter off. This is the old filter. This is going to be your new filter here. And I'm just comparing the two, making sure that they look around the same thread hole, everything else. But I want to make sure that this seal right here did not stick to the car. If it sticks to the car, you put the filter on, and unfortunately all your oil will come out because it will not seal the oil filter to the car. If you run into that problem, you're going to have to start all over again. You're going to have to do everything all over again. So this is the new filter here, and I'm going to show you a trick, something I always do if you have a vertically mounted oil filter, which this one is. The oil comes from the filter first and goes everywhere else to the car. So if the oil filter is empty, like this one is, then you will have a very dry start when you're changing the oil in these cars. And with vehicles with a variable valve timing system in them and things like that, you definitely don't want to start these up where they are dry. So what I do is I prime this oil pump by filling this up with a little bit of oil. So I'm just going to fill this up with oil. It doesn't have to be all the way. Matter of fact, if it's all the way, you're probably going to make a mess. So just put maybe, a quarter to a half a quart in. And I also want to take that new oil and I'm going to rub that new oil all over this O-ring. And so that will hopefully keep this O-ring from sticking to the block. So now we're going to reinstall this oil filter. Reinstallation is going to be the same as installation. I'm just going to snake this down here and thread this onto the threaded fitting that the oil filter gets in on. And then I'm just going to hand tighten it. You don't want it too loose, you don't want it too tight. If you get it too tight, you're going to have a hard time getting it off. So after we do that, we are going to put our water bottle back on. You want to make sure that this is plugged in, of course. If you don't plug that in when you crank up the car, it's going to give you a low coolant warning. So if you crank up the car and you get a low coolant warning, you forgot to plug your water bottle in, or you may actually have low coolant. So normally when I do these oil changes, I'm going to check the other fluids as well. So we put that back on, and now we are ready to lift our car up and drain the remainder of the oil. Okay, we got the car up in the air. The drain plug on this vehicle is right here. It is a 19 millimeter. Just use a wrench. Also, I went ahead and got the excess oil that came off of the oil filter. Went ahead and got it to where it was cleaned up, You're always going to get a little bit of a drip after that. It's all right. So make sure that we don't make a mess here. Got a pretty small target to hit with this pan. Right. And you can do this on jack stands. Oh, I hate this oil pan. That one will be for the blooper reel, right? So I kind of made a little bit of a mess. Once this drains, we'll get that cleaned up. We'll keep moving. A lot of these oil pans, it'll bounce out the bottom and it'll get all over the place, unfortunately. If you've got a plastic pan and you're doing this on your back at the house, this is a rare problem. It's these metal pans that'll do it. So just making sure I get the little drips and everything that are off the subframe and repositioning my pan to catch everything. That oil drains right out of that oil filter and it gets this whole area oily. You don't want to cause any drips. Okay, while that continues to drip a little bit, I'm going to show you what I was talking about in the first couple of frames of the video, that I have purchased something for less than $10 that will give us a lifetime of use and protection for this engine, and it is this. Let me focus back in. This is a magnetic drain plug. So you can get these for any cars, and you see this part right here is, my camera's having a hard time here. This part right here is going to be your magnet, and it is going to, any metal particle, anything that's ferrous that is in the oil, it will stick to this and it will keep this particle from entering any other part of your engine, maybe getting in between and scarring up a bearing or anything like that. So like I said, you can get these on Amazon. The thread pitch on this Passat is going to be M14 by 1.5, and it comes with the crush washer as well, and that is going to be the same crush washer that you use on stock plugs, so easy replacement. I have one of these on my Jetta. I'm going to link the video and show you what this thing catches just within 4,000 miles on my Jetta oil change. So we're going to install this. This is a 14mm head instead of the 19mm that was on the stock one, so just remember you're going to have to bring an extra wrench to the game here if you're going to change this over. And so we'll just put this in here. It threads in. You can get them in red or blue, or it doesn't matter. Color doesn't matter besides looking cool, right? And so let me see if I can find my wrench here. I put it in my pocket. Here we go. And when you tighten this, you don't have to go crazy with it. You just want to snug it up and make sure that it's the crush ring is sealed around the edge here, and after that, I mean, it's pretty much, you're pretty much done. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this little residue off the bottle. You always want to leave yourself with a clean bottom, that way if you have any issues later on, you know, oil drips on a driveway or something like that, you know it's not self-inflicted here. So let me get the bottom of this clean, I'll put it back down, and we'll put the oil in. Okay, so we got the car back on the ground. Now we just have to put the oil in it. Go ahead and open this. Check and make sure you don't have any craziness back there. I'm gonna put this oil funnel here. And I'm going to grab this. And now this is 5 liters. It's going to overfill the car if we put all 5 liters in it. Excuse me. So we'll just fill it up a little bit. I always use a funnel. It's one thing if you're on the side of the road, but you don't want to spill oil down in between that plastic cover. You'll have to take it out and clean everything up. This oil in this bottle, these liquid moly oil bottles, they come out pretty slow. Kind of angle you have to hold them at to drain out the most quickest. Alright, so I'm going to pull up and just kind of see where I'm at. I'm going to put about A little bit more in. And now I want to check my oil. You're back here. Also, be really careful with these dipsticks. They break all the time. If you're a Passat owner, you probably already know that. And so that's about right on the money. It's okay if it's a little bit high because we still have a little bit of room in the oil filter. So you just want to make sure that everything's wiped clean. And we'll put the cap back on. And now what we want to do is we want to crank up the vehicle and let the oil pressure build up in the vehicle like it's supposed to, and then we'll shut it off and check the oil again. So it may rattle a little bit when you first crank up the vehicle. That's okay. That's just oil going back to where it was supposed to go. And we're going to check the oil again and adjust our final level. A little bit low, so we're just going to add a little bit more oil to it. That oil filter is pretty big, so when it fills up, it takes up some room. That's about all. Just let that go ahead and drain down to the pan. Whenever you add oil, give it a couple of seconds to drain down to the pan and check it again. We're just right there. We're right on the money there. So that's good for me. And we are all done. Okay, and so that's how easy it is to change the oil in a B5 or a B5.5 Passat. So I hope you got something from this video. If you did, please like the video, maybe leave me a comment on what you thought, and of course, as always, subscribe to the channel. So I'm trying to add more content on a daily basis. It may take me a couple of days. I'm starting to do a little bit different stuff with editing and things like that to give y'all a little bit better quality. So if you think the quality's going up in my videos, like and subscribe. If you think the quality's going bad, like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions for any videos or any questions, as always, leave them in the comments. I watch this page religiously and I make sure that all my viewers get taken care of. So that's it for now. We'll see you next time.